Welcome to Tea Talks, where young adult stories and church experience blend into a beautiful insight to inspire us. So grab a cup of tea, sit down, relax, and enjoy while we spill the tea. With us today, I have Jonathan. Jonathan, thank you so much for accepting the invitation to come and share with us. I am so happy you're here.
Well, thanks for having me.
Let's start with you. Who are you? Share a little bit about you.
My name's Jonathan. I just turned 27. I'm currently in a master's program, actually a doctorate, pursuing my doctorate degree. I've grown up a Christian my whole life. I didn't really come into the faith, though, for myself until later on when I really understood what it meant to have a personal relationship with God. The Lord blessed me with two awesome parents, sibling as well, no complaints there. It's been a great time, and I'm happy to be here with you guys.
That is awesome. The series that we're doing is inspiring this book here called Growing Young, where it's a research that was done through the Fuller Institution, where they are looking at what are the things that churches that are growing, they're thriving with young adults, what is it that they're doing? And one of the things, two characteristics actually that we're going to be talking about. One is key leadership, and another one is prioritizing young people. So can you share your experience, a story that illustrates the importance of prioritizing young people and families in society?
Absolutely. So growing up in my church, the established church would try to get the youth involved every now and then. Probably like once a month they'd have a youth service. Just try to get something fun for the kids. But when you reach about the age of like high school, around there, you start to see some kids like fall off, start to leave the church a little bit. And it seemed like there was never really anyone reaching out as much, trying to make an effort. It wasn't until, I would say, undergrad that I was actually presented with a really cool opportunity to speak at youth church one time, and I had never really done a sermon ever before, and it kind of took me aback a little bit when my pastor came up to me and he was like, "Hey, would you like to give a sermon?" And it was a 4th of July weekend for that service too. He said, "Can you incorporate something like that into the service?" And it really made me think, wow, someone trusts me enough to present the word and trusted me enough to speak to other people and other members of the congregation. And I wish more people had that opportunity, because I think if they did have that opportunity, more people would be willing to take part in church activities.
How did that make you feel?
It made me feel trusted, for one. There's no feeling like when someone asks you for help, you sort of like you're flattered a little bit, like, wow, someone trusted me enough, someone cares about what I have to say or what advice I can give out. So whenever they said that and brought that opportunity to me, I was like, oh wow, that makes me feel special, makes me feel seen, makes me feel valued.
It's a flatter, but it's also in a sense of my opinion, my skills, my qualities matter. So it's something that I feel like people want to be part of something where they feel like, wow, my opinion matters. How can key leadership, the term used by the book is key leadership, which is pretty much empowering. How can key leadership help prioritize young people in the church?
Getting them involved, it doesn't even have to be a sermon like in my case. Something as small as community outreach, like, hey, maybe reach out to the gym that you go to all the time. I know my friends and I in the church, we've actually brought a lot of people to our church because of that. And I feel like if we had the church's support behind that, we could get a lot more people to come into church, because I think the church gets a bad rap of not wanting to reach out to young people. And I don't think it's entirely accurate, not because the church doesn't want to reach out to young people. I just believe that they maybe don't have the best strategies to reach out to young people. And I feel like the church could trust us with that. I really do think it would be a great way to prioritize the youth and what we have to offer.
So basically, instead of, okay, the young people are doing this outreach, let's say with the gym, instead of being what they're doing separate, but would be with the support of the church.
Yes,
Kind of like
yes.
The church focus, okay, what evangelism are we going to be doing? Hey, look what these kids are doing. Look, we can invest in this with support, with budget, that kind of thing. I like that. What are some of the specific challenges or obstacles to young people and their families that they are facing today in the world in general?
Well, that's a multifaceted
Yes.
issue. It really is. I can tell you, I grew up in the church. I had a group of about 5 to 7 other people who would go to church with me. And since then, like, some of them don't come to church as often. And it could be for various reasons. They move away, they go to school, and they're not around their church family anymore. It's just harder to get connected. Other people, life just hits them with illness, family issues, things like that. I've been blessed in that regard. I've stayed grounded, stayed here with my church, but I think church support is really, really crucial when it comes to that. Young people really do seek a structure and a family support system, not just immediate family and blood family, but church family as well. And I've had conversations with friends of mine who aren't in the church anymore, and you can tell that there is something missing in them. And I think the church has an amazing opportunity to reach out to people and youth like that because they are hungry.
They want to feel like they belong.
Oh my
to
goodness,
something.
yes.
How would you describe your journey as a young person, trying to find your voice in the world?
It's hard when I feel like there could be a cultural component too.
Yes.
When you grow up, whether it be Hispanic culture, Black culture, Asian culture, lots of cultures where you're taught to respect your elders and what they say and what they value. You don't want to go against the grain because it might come across as disrespectful, which makes it really tough when you start developing your own ideas and your own strategies to help with church activities, church planting, things like that. And I found it hard personally, but I have had loving parents who have told me to try to find truth for myself as well. Try to be as honest as I can be. When I don't know something, say that I don't know. But yeah.
Do you have some specific challenges that you have encountered?
Yeah, the specific one that I can think of is having meetings with church leadership and feeling like, not that you're being brushed aside, but almost like you're not being taken as seriously just because you're young. And I understand where they're coming from a little bit because they do have the experience. They have seen more situations than I have. But I do think people in my age group and age range, I think we do have some valuable input to offer to the church.
How did the challenges, and even like when you did overcome, how did that challenge shape your perspective on life and in leadership?
Well, in life, it taught me that you're going to have to deal with, well, not deal with, that's not the proper term. You're going to have to work with people who don't share the same approach to something. You do have to realize, though, that they're not trying to do that to be antagonistic. They just have a different approach. And it's taught me to be respectful of others and their opinions, but it's also taught me that I need to improve in my approach and how I present my argument, because the better I can present it, the more compelling it'll be and the more people I'll be able to get with me.
Do you feel, or do you wish that the older generation would have the same mentality as you just described?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a give and take. It absolutely is in any successful relationship. I mean, my parents have taught me that since I was really young. Obviously, mom and dad don't see things eye to eye a lot of times, but they still make it work at the end of the day. Any successful business relationship, romantic relationship, anything like that, you need to have a give and take between both parties.
How can church leaders help develop key leadership mentality and prioritize young people?
Giving young people a responsibility in the church. When someone gives you a job to do, it puts a pressure, but a good pressure on you because you want to do well, because someone has trusted you with this job, with this task, and you don't want to let them down. I think that kind of pressure can actually be good in small doses. Obviously, you don't want to overwhelm someone by giving them a million things to do. It's not respectful of their time or yours or of anyone. But if you're able to trust someone to do a job and you give them smaller and smaller jobs, but they keep doing it, improving, they build up their confidence and they build up their ability to feel like they belong in the church. And it's a contagious energy as well, I found, when someone finds something that they love to do and other people see it and reward it by providing them with more opportunities to do it.
I actually use an analogy when I'm preaching or when I'm teaching related to allowing young people to make mistakes, right? Because that's the only way they can develop. And the analogy that I learned is this: sometimes you can tell them, they're not going to learn until they do it. It's kind of like, well, this analogy is becoming old because nobody does this anymore. But when I grew up, I went to a class where I learned how to type. And nobody tells you to learn how to type by somebody telling you. You have to type to learn, right?
Right.
So for us to be able to develop the new generation of leaders, or even to just keep the new generation in the church, we have to allow them to learn, to make mistakes. And it's from those mistakes, with loving guidance, then we can help them grow. What would you like to say to us, leaders of the churches, to help you guys? What would you like to say?
Well, I'd like to start by saying that a lot of times these conversations come across like it's a us versus them. That could not be further from the truth. That is the last thing that this is. We just want to come and say, first of all, thank you for investing your time in raising us, the next generation. We just want to make your job easier, truthfully, because we're human, we're mortal, we don't live forever. Eventually, it's going to be up to us. And we want to make sure that we can start getting responsibility now so that we know what to do when the time comes, when it's up to us.
It's the importance of the intergenerational,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because it's not only about the young people, it's about our ages, it's about our generations, but how to learn how to grow together. And actually, this is the whole point why we're opening this space and talking, because if we don't talk, if we don't understand that bridge, that gap between the older and the younger generation, the us versus them situation happens, but we can bridge that. Jonathan, this was wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. This was awesome.
Taking the time to come and share your thoughts with us.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And for those at home, thank you for joining Tea Talks. Keep stirring up the conversations. Keep embracing the beautiful and the messiness of life. And until next time.